Yo, how's it been, huh? As you can see, we're doing another tier list. I'm not gonna lie, I'm becoming a little addicted to them because they're easy, but they're also pretty fun. I did the Berserk thing last time, and like I said, planning on more Berserk videos, but those are gonna take a while. So right now, I'm just trying to get off as many I'm not gonna say short, cause my even the tier lists are still pretty long, cause I keep talking too much, but. I'm just trying to do as much things as I can, and this was something I wanted to do for a while. And considering that there's a new Resident Evil coming out, Resident Evil 9 Requiem, it's like I don't know, maybe I can coast off of that. Like the algorithm might hit me up. I don't know. I'm praying. Now, as you can see, I'm doing both a tier list for Resident Evil 4 and the remake. As you can see, it's about the different characters and how well they perform in the Mercenaries video game. Those of you who played Resident Evil 4 and beat it, hopefully you're familiar with Mercenaries. It's a really fun time, really fun mini game. You just kill as many people as you can and keep getting points. However, I'm doing it a little differently because there's a lot different and a lot better tier list than ones you're about to see about how well to play the game. I'm not, this is not that's not what this is about. I'm doing a different approach. This time, instead of going off of how well the characters themselves perform, instead the idea is how well would you as a person would perform if you had to go off of these characters' loadouts. And by loadouts, I'm specifically talking about the weapons, not the melee moves. For example, Hunk, Krauser, and Wesker all have pretty powerful melee moves, but their equipment not so much. So the idea is if you were you can pick any map you want. I'm gonna pick the village map just for simplicity's sake. It's the easiest one. It's the most recognizable. Not a whole lot going on. There's not really any traps or anything. It's just the basic village as is. So it's basically you pick a character and their equipment. Or no, you don't pick a character. You just pick their equipment. Yeah, you don't have access to any of the crazy moves they have. You can try, but you won't pass. And it's how well you would do. So I'm gonna rank them all. This one shouldn't take too long. It's pretty clear and obvious. The remake, on the other hand, that's gonna be a lot harder, and that's gonna be where the real fun at. But let's start with the simpler one. D tier, last place. I hate to say it, Hunk, he's my boy. He's my favorite character in Resident Evil, both as a playable character and just as a character in general. He's really cool and mysterious, and I really hope we get to see more of him. Although you could also argue part of Hunk's appeal is that he's the mysterious guy. He's not supposed to be a very big character. He's a very cold-blooded dude. Does what he's supposed to and dips. That's how he is. So yeah, I really like him, and I love how he plays. But unfortunately, his equipment alone would not be enough to save you. And just to reiterate, the scenario is you're trapped in village or whatever map you choose. I'm choosing village again for simplicity's sake. You survive until the time runs out. It's not about the points. This is not how the scenario works. It is in the game. You kill as many as you can to get more points to get a high score. In this scenario, it's just pure survival. You're fighting against the clock. When the time runs out, a helicopter comes to save you, and you're good. You go. Job well done. So it's just a pure survival scenario. How long will you survive? And Hunk's equipment just would not do it for you. In Resident Evil 4, the original, Hunk's equipment is just a machine pistol and some grenades. It's a very good machine pistol. It's the Brugger and Tomei MP9. In game, it's called the Custom TMP because it was in Resident Evil 4. There's two TMPs. There's a regular version, which is the original Steyr model, and then Hunk uses the new model which was when Steyr sold the design to Brugger and Tomei, and Brugger and Tomei made some updates. So Hunk's TMP, it's pretty good, both in game and IRL. The Brugger and Tomei MP9, it's a decent SMG, dirty rounds and 9mm folding stock, very compact, but not too much recoil. But one machine pistol would not be enough to save you. For Hunk, it would, because Hunk can break people's necks, so he's very strong and very capable. But a regular person, a truck running by. it just would not do the job. Better than nothing, but yeah, and the fact that Hunk doesn't get a knife in the original RE4, it gets me so mad. Like Hunk's whole thing is the fact that he's like a good he's a good CQC hand to hand combatant. So why wouldn't he have a knife? I don't get it. So yeah, Hunk probably the best or at least one of the best characters from a gameplay point of view. But if we're just looking at his weapons alone, you'd be pretty fucked if you're in his situation. Next up, mm, I'm gonna go Krauser. I was Hunk and Kraus. I mean, not Hunk. Leon and Krauser kind of time. I'm gonna go with Krauser. Krauser's weapons in Yoji are just a knife and a bow and arrow. Bow and arrow does pretty good damage, but I'm gonna attest that less to do with the bow and arrow itself and more to do with Krauser. Well, actually, I take that back because in order for a bow to be strong, it has to have significant draw. And if a bow has significant draw, then that means you'd have to be really strong to pull it back. But regardless, I just don't think I would be good at it. Like a bow and arrow, really good weapon in different circumstances, easy to reload, has has easy accuracy, easy to aim. But I don't know, it's just it would be a decent sniping weapon, but I just don't think I'd be very good at it. Like I've done archery before, but I was able to hit the target well enough when I used my own bow, but that's because I was really weak, so I had a bow with really easy draw. When I used the archery bows in in my gym class, I sucked at it because like I said I was really weak, whereas those bows actually had decent drawbacks. I got better because that was in middle school. In high school, I was able to handle it a lot more, but even still, it's just been so long that I just would not be very good at it. And even a skilled archer, I don't think would perform very well either because these are infected zombie dudes. They're not real zombies. Like they're intelligent and they use weapons. They don't really bite. Other Resident Evil zombies bite, but these aren't T-virus zombies. These are Plagas zombies. So you, but it's even so, I just don't think the bow and arrow would be very good, and the knife would be good. Again, Krauser is a great player because he can transform with his mutant arm and shit, but you don't have that. You just have his equipment. The bow and arrow just would not be enough to save you, and the knife also wouldn't be enough to save you. Next up, Leon. Leon's equipment. Leon's the opposite of these guys. Hunk and Krauser have crappy weapons or all right weapons, but really good melee. Leon's the opposite. He has really good weapons, but his melee moves in this game are very weak, and understandably so because if you play the game as these other characters, you would be really OP. Whereas Leon and Ada are a lot more neutral or balanced. But anyway, Leon's equipment in Mercenaries, he's the first character you start as. You unlock these other people. Leon's equipment is a blacktail pistol and a riot gun. And the real life equivalents of those is a Springfield XD, my bad, a Springfield XD and a Benelli M3. Both are pretty decent. The Benelli M3 is a pretty great shotgun. Unlike the game where it's purely pump action, the real Benelli M3 can switch between pump action or semi-auto. So it's it would be pretty devastating, and he's also got a knife, so that's pretty good. However, I wouldn't really want to survive off of that alone. I mean, because it would do a shit ton of damage, but you'd also be constantly in close quarters. Granted, I will say something I want to clarify. Shotgun range is very exaggerated in games. In games, shotguns tend to have really crap range, whereas that's not really true. While granted, a shotgun wouldn't compare to a rifle, it would also do a hell of a lot better than a pistol because the thing is it's got a long barrel, so of course it's gonna shoot farther. So that is exaggerated. However, I would still rather just find I would constantly be on the move. I wouldn't want to just say camped out at one spot, but I would still want to be in a far enough way where I could just pick them off at a range and just be on the move. Whereas with Leon, or like with Leon's like shotgun and pistol, you wouldn't really be able to do that. You would just be constantly in close quarters. So unless you think you're like Doom guy or something where you could just like shotgun blast everyone out of the way, it's not something I'd want, but it's a decent option. Next up, my boy Albert Wesker. Haha. Surprisingly enough for this game, even though Albert Wesker is like really OP with like how strong he is, because his punches and kicks are instant kills, and they also do a lot of like AOE as well. He's also got some really good guns. He has Leon's Silver Ghost. I don't know why Leon doesn't use the Silver Ghost in his Mercenaries, but like he has a Silver Ghost, which even though it's a hybrid of many different pistols, for simplicity's sake, we're gonna say the Silver Ghost is a USP pistol by Heckler and Koch, because that's what it is in the remake. So the Heckler Koch USP is a pretty decent like pistol. It's pretty good, and Wesker's custom version comes with a laser pointer and a suppressor, which while it wouldn't be very useful because you're not really like a spy on a mission, you're just trying to survive against like these infected like zombie like parasites. It would be alright, I guess. However, more importantly, he has a Killer 7 Magnum, which, by the way, for those of you who don't know, the reason why it's called that is because it was to promote the other Capcom game, Killer 7. Killer 7 is the greatest story mode game of all time. Not so much as a gameplay game, it's really weird and unconventional, but as a story, oh my god. And it was also made by Suda51, who also did No More Heroes and Silver Case. So yeah, shout out to Killer 7. But moving on, he's got a Killer 7 Magnum and a semi-auto rifle. The Killer 7 Magnum, and I'll even show it here, it's a 1911 style pistol, and it's also got like the good old Terminator like laser sight. However, the the Killer 7 doesn't really act like a 1911. It acts more like a Magnum because that's what it is in game. It's a Magnum, and I don't know. It's hard to explain, but to make things easier, we're gonna say that instead of it being a regular 1911, it's a Laura Grizzly. And for those of you who don't know what that is, a Laura Grizzly is basically in 1911, but it's chambered in like 45 Winchester Magnum, which I'm assuming is a rifle type of bullet, or at the very least, it's a very powerful bullet. And you might think, well, that's a good thing, right? But it's like it can be, but I wouldn't recommend it because when you pack like such a strong bullet in such a tiny pistol, well, it's not a tiny pistol, but so when you pack such a large round in like a small gun, it creates a lot of recoil. So that wouldn't be very reliable. But I mean, it would be reliable enough. And more importantly, he has a semi-auto rifle, which, like I said, I wanted a decent long-range weapon. And the semi-auto rifle is based off of the Heckler and Koch SL8, which is a semi-auto version of the G36. It's got less ammunition but a longer barrel and a dumbbell stock. Wesker's version comes with like a short scope, so it wouldn't be great for like that, but it would still be very decent. It would like provide you a lot of like backup. It would basically be like my main weapon. I would also use like the 45 pistol when I needed to. So yeah, like you get a lot of, well, yeah, you get like decent variety, good firepower. I wouldn't say you'd be like set, but you do what you have to. Unfortunately, Wesker doesn't come with a knife. He doesn't need to though, because like I said, he's Wesker, so you don't get a knife, but you get enough guns to do what you need to do. Finally, Ada. Now, Ada is not the greatest character in Mercenaries because she's similar to Leon in that like her melee attacks aren't that great. But unlike Leon, she actually has some really good guns. Her loadout's pretty similar to Wesker's. However, she uses a Punisher pistol, a TMP, and also the semi-auto rifle, but hers has like the better scope if I'm remembering correctly. And she also has a knife. It's a switchblade, so it's not very reliable, but it's something. So to further explain, the Punisher pistol is the FN57, which unlike other pistols, which usually come in 22, 9mm, 45, hers comes in 5.7, which is actually, I wouldn't say it's a rifle round because it's not, but it's very similar to a rifle round. I completely spelled that wrong. So yeah, most pistols are like really short and fat, whereas as you can see, FN57 ammo is like really like thin and pointy, so it's like armor piercing like a rifle. It wouldn't be nearly as powerful because, like I said, similar to Wesker's like 45 pistol, it's like a powerful round, but it's coming out of a very small pistol, so it wouldn't have nearly the oomph. However, unlike Wesker's 45, the 5.7 doesn't really like do a lot of recoil, so you would be virtually fine in that area. And it's got 20 rounds too, so it's a very like really good option. And then the TMP that Ada uses, it's pretty crap compared to Honk's because Honk's actually comes with the stock, whereas Ada's doesn't, so she hip fires it, which is really stupid. But like, still, it's like you get a good automatic weapon that like has a whole lot, and it has like a whole lot of ammo as well. And then finally, you get the semi-auto rifle, so you can also snipe at a long distance range. So yeah, Ada has the most variety, at least in this game, and she has an answer for everything. So if I was trapped in like the village scenario where I was surrounded by like the Las Plagas enemies, her weapons would be what I want. Now that was very easy. The remake, on the other hand, is very different because everyone seems to have like a whole lot of weapons. Like it's just, and there's also like different character variations. Like there's two Leons and two Adas. This is gonna be tough, but for starters, oh damn. So Wesker did so great in the other one. Why not here? Well, I'll show you why. I actually showed you earlier, but for those of you who weren't paying attention, as you can see, Resident Evil 4 Remake Wesker does not have the semi-auto rifle. He only had, they changed the pistol to a samurai edge, and he kept the Killer 7 Magnum, but and he also has like some good grenades, but he does not have the semi-auto rifle. He doesn't need it because as powerful as Wesker was in the original, he's 10 times better in this game, which is crazy. Like they really expanded a lot with his moveset. This is the best Wesker has ever been. But unfortunately, he does not have the semi-auto rifle. So basically in this game, in the remake, in order to play Wesker, you're basically just supposed to use the Samurai Edge to like stun enemies, and then you use your melee moves, and then you also use your Mayhem to perform combos and stuff. However, like I said, you can't do that in this scenario because you're not Wesker. You're none of these people. You're yourself. It's just the weapons, and this would be a really bad loadout. I mean, yeah, the grenades would be nice. Like you got some explosives, and then you also got the flashbangs as well, but the neither of these would be. I mean, these are good pistols. Don't get me wrong, but the Samurai Edge, which is a Beretta IRL, Wesker's Beretta only holds 10 bullets instead of 15. So that leads me to believe that it's chambered in 40 Smith and Wesson and not 9 millimeter, which decent round, but not really what I'm looking for. And then the Killer 7, which is the Law Grizzly. The Law Grizzly, like again, it would be a powerful weapon, but it wouldn't be the most reliable in my hands. And I also don't think it comes with a high ammo count either. So yeah, you'd probably get boxed in very quickly. It just wouldn't be a fun time. Sorry, Wesker. Now, something that is pretty consistent is that Hunk would also be pretty low. Now, Hunk's loadout is definitely a hell of a lot better than it was because, as you can see, instead of the TMP, he has the MP5, which most people will tell you the MP5 is like the best. Sorry, hold on. I thought I heard something. Damn. Anyway, as I was saying, many real firearms experts, which I'm not. I don't know if I said it earlier, but I'm not a firearms expert. I've never touched a gun in my life. I have many friends who are and constantly use them, but like I'm not one of them. I would have liked their perspective on this, but they're not with me at the moment. They're off doing their own thing. So back to what I was saying, the MP5, very reliable, well performing firearm, but it's not. It's I wouldn't want this to be like my only thing. Also, if you pay attention, Honk's MP5, it's missing its like front sight. I don't know. It looks like it got chopped off. Like, why would you do that? But yeah, however, they also gave him a knife, which is really good. It's a boot knife, which is a small, like, little dagger, so it would not be very helpful. And as much as I hate to say it, since I love, like, knives or blades in general, if you're in a zombie, or, like, not even a zombie situation, like, if you're in any type of, like, fight where your guns run out of ammo and you have to use your knife, you're that is not a favorable situation in any circumstance. So if you, yeah, it's just not good no matter how you look at it. Not bad. It's better than Wesker's, even though he lacks a variety. The MP5 or just SMGs in general tend to work as both a main gun and a sidearm, depending on how you look at it. So it's like, yeah, that's pretty good, but it would not be enough to save you. It's just too, like, lackluster. Now, this is where things get complicated because Hunk and Wesker are the only ones who I would say have bad loadouts. Everyone else has good loadouts, but it's just like I don't really know where I'd put them. Like, uh, actually, hmm. Okay, I guess I hate to sue this, but for for base Ada, I'm gonna put her at C, and I hate to say that because in game, Ada has like some really great weapons. Let's see if I can. Yeah, so this is base Ada. She uses the Springfield. She uses a sawed-off shotgun, a crossbow with explosive arrows, and a knife. And unlike the OG game where Ada had a tiny little switchblade, in the remake, Ada actually uses like a really good knife. It's a large. I'd honestly want to say it's like kind of like a machete almost if you look at it. I'm pretty sure it's based off of one. So yeah. So even though she has really good equipment, in IRL, I don't think it'd be very useful for you if you take into account that crossbows are actually very hard to reload. Like it's not like you just slip like the arrow or not arrow. It's technically a bolt. Well, whatever. Bolts and arrows are like they're different, but they do the same thing basically. But yeah, reloading a crossbow is very difficult from what I've seen. Like it's not something you can do. And it's even worse because remember how I was talking about how like strong bows have like a lot of drawback. Ada's crossbow has even like more drawback than like a typical like regular bow from what I've heard people hear and was like, yeah, I'm not strong like she is, so like I would be pretty fucked in that situation. And another thing, I mean not her shotgun, like I said, it's sawed off, which means it's good for like transportation, like you could carry it wherever. However, the shorter barrel means that like where the shorter barrel means that a the range is significantly reduced, which means that this time the shotgun having short range would be very realistic. So not only would the range be reduced, but the barrel like absorbs a lot of the recoil, but not in this case, and it also doesn't have a buttstock either, so the recoil would be even worse. And the only thing that really gives you like a way to handle it is this foregrip, which is good, but it wouldn't be enough. Like I would not be able to use it very effectively at all. So unfortunately, even though Ada's weapons are great, I think because of A, just like their complications, and B, my own like just weakness, I just would not be able to use them the way that you would probably need to. I'm sure a more competent person would probably do better, but not me. Moving on. Mm, hmm. I'm gonna go with Mafia Leon. Now, again, I hate to say this because like Mafia Leon is probably like the best character in terms of like if you want to score like high points. He's not the most powerful, but like in Mercenaries mode, it's not just about killing enemies. It's about like getting them. It's about like scoring enough points. So even though Leon's not the strongest, he will like definitely do that. Wait, hold on, guys. I need to text someone. All right, that's taken care of. So yeah, Leon's all of his weapons are really great, and he's also got a good knife here. However, this is a lot to carry. Like the revolver wouldn't be too bad. This is a Schofield revolver. It's called the Broken Butterfly in game. But moving on, yeah. So he's got a Tommy gun, a shotgun, a Remington 870, and a Schofield. Yeah, this would not work. I would not be able to carry all of this. My best solution would be to like just carry the Tommy gun and the Schofield and just leave the shotgun somewhere so I could like circle back to it. But that only works in theory. Like IRL, like you're probably gonna forget about it, and by the time you come back for it, like it might be too late. However, the Tommy gun, while it's not a great firearm, like in general, like there's a reason why we don't really use it anymore outside of target practice. In this situation, I wouldn't be against it. It's 45 ACP, decent round, and unlike and instead of, and something I want to clarify, the 45 ACP is already a great round from a pistol perspective, but from an SMG perspective, it's even better because you got like the long barrel and the more ammunition. And because the Tommy gun's a pretty like large and heavy weapon, there wouldn't be much recoil either. So yeah, it'd be pretty good. The Schofield revolver, on the other hand, I don't know how this would work because the Schofield it doesn't use like regular ammunition. Like it might use 45 long clip, but I'm not sure. I don't even think it does. And it's also in real life, the Schofield is not as powerful as it is in the game. The Broken Butterfly is a Magnum, but it's not in IRL. And it's also single action, so you wouldn't be able to fire it very fast either, or reload it. So this just would not be a favorable situation. The Tommy gun would be pretty good, but other than that, and again, no grenades. So even though you're given a lot of variety, you wouldn't be able to use it as effectively as you are in game. So unfortunately, I'm gonna have to put it in C, or yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. Like yeah. Next up, hmm, hmm, hmm. I'm gonna put OG Leon here. Now OG, I mean not, but like base Leon. Now base Leon in this game is a huge improvement from the Leon in the other in the original RE4 because he actually comes with the semi-auto rifle this time. It's called the Stingray in this game. So he has an answer for everything. He has the pistol to set up like the melee attacks. He has the shotgun to do like major damage, and he has like the Stingray semi-auto rifle for long range. Now, granted, you would have the same issue as Mafia Leon, where you would basically have to like leave one of your firearms in one place. But the difference is that unlike Mafia Leon, who had entirely close range weapons, base Leon has the semi-auto rifle. So in reality, like leaving the shotgun like in a place wouldn't be that bad because you could snipe away enemies like far away and stay hold up and only move when you need to. So you would eventually have to move, but like it wouldn't be too bad. You wouldn't be completely stationary, but like you wouldn't like lose your gun as easily, and you wouldn't have to carry it everywhere either. So you'd be pretty like well set up. If anything, I might low key want to like move. I might be ranking this too low. I might low key want to move it up to S tier, but I'm gonna at least keep it. I'm gonna change it to A tier for. No. I'm gonna move it to A tier right now. Next up, I'm gonna put Luis in B. Now Luis is the worst character in this game because he just runs so slow, and his melee moves aren't very great, and his equipment's all right, but his weapons are powerful but slow to reload. But I think in real life this wouldn't be too much of a hindrance because let's see, he has a Mauser pistol which is chambered in 9 millimeter. He's got the Springfield 1903 rifle which is a little outdated but really great performing classic bullet action. It comes with a thermal vision scope and a boot knife. Not like Leon's bayonet, and it's not like Ada's machete, so it wouldn't be that great. But like I said, if you have to use your knife at all, you're already in a very unfavorable position as is. No grenades though. He's only got like one flashbang, so that sucks. But yeah, basically, if you had Luis's weapons, you'd basically just have to be a sniper and focus on using your Springfield 1903. Now, unlike in the actual game where Luis has to load it round by round, that's not how this gun works. A lot of bullet actions do work that way, where you just have to put in one single bullet at a time. But no, Luis in real life, the Springfield 1903 accepts stripper clips, which basically, like, when you hear people talk about the difference between a magazine or a clip, this is what they're talking about. Like, a stripper clip is you have a stack of bullets connected by a clip. You slap the bullets into like the top of the gun. You take away the stripper clip, and like that's how it works. His Red 9 Mauser pistol works the same way. These are both reliable. However, the fact that you have to use a stripper clip instead of like a regular mag, I think would kind of like slow me down. And as much as I love bolt action rifles, like in real life, like they're so freaking cool, I'm not sure if I would want that to rely on that because that means that like it would be a purely long range rifle. Granted, I did say that I wanted a longer range weapon, but the difference between this, the 1903, and the semi-auto is the semi-auto would actually still be very good to use in close range as well. Like you wouldn't have to aim too. You would still have to aim, but like you wouldn't have to be like super precise. Whereas Luis's, you would, my bad. You would have to be super precise. You would have to like not. You would have to not miss. Like, because if you did, you would have to like. That would be a lot more costly. Also, I'm pretty sure the Springfield 1903 has much more recoil because it's championed 30-06, which is very powerful. Very effective, but very powerful. And another thing I want to specify is the Springfield 1903 only holds like 5 bullets. The Stingray holds 10, if not 20. The SLA, my bad. The Stingray is a fictional name. And another thing I want to clarify is that the Stingray that Leon uses, and you also saw Ada also uses, it uses a regular scope. Luis's uses a biovision scope. It's a thermal scope, which is great against like the Las Plagas because it allows you to see like their infected parasites. But it would suck for me because I've never used a scope in general. But like a thermal scope, I think that would just trip me out because I'm not used to seeing like I'm used to seeing my vision. I've looked at thermal images before, but I've never like looked at it through like a device. So that would take some getting used to. So my only other option would be just to take the scope off and use the iron sights, but that would also really suck. So it's still a very reliable, very powerful weapons, and they would do very well at long range, which is what I'm hoping for. But like I said, I want a good long range, but I also want to be like mobile enough to be able to be on the run. And Luis's weapons will let you do that, but you would kind of struggle with it if that makes any sense. Also, Luis comes with like a pipe attack in the game. I'm not going to include that. I kind of want to, but I did say like I'm going specifically off like the loadouts alone. Whereas Luis's pipe is not part of like his equipment. It's just something he summons out of thin air. It's really cool and it's really funny, but I'm not including that. Now moving on, who else should I rank? Hmm. Mm, uh, I'm gonna put Krauser at B tier. I wanted to rank him a lot higher, but like the reason why I'm not is because like Krauser's bow, I'm assuming has a shit ton of draw too, and he also comes with explosive arrows, which do a lot more damage, but I think they're also a lot rarer. So like, actually, now that I think about it, Krauser probably ranks like I almost want to put him in C tier. Really, like Yeah, like, dang, like, sorry, Krauser, you're actually a lot lower than I was expecting. But yeah, he has a really good knife, but like, you it wouldn't be as effective because you're not Krauser. You can't use the knife like he does. So really, like, his only real viable options are his TMP and like. So yeah, Krauser's weapons are good in the game, but you probably wouldn't get a whole lot of mileage. Like the bow would be very good. Like it would shoot explosive arrows, so you could use it as a sniping weapon and as an explosive weapon. But you would run out of arrows probably fast. You probably won't be very accurate because, like I said, Krauser's bow has a very strong draw, and the TMP would do all right, but it wouldn't be very great. It wouldn't perform the way Hunks does because he uses the MP5, which is a better firearm, like I said. But oh dang, it sucks though. I thought Krauser was way. I was almost considering putting Krauser's weapon in like S tier, but dang, I guess not. Well, finally, I guess Ada makes it into S. Dress Ada, she makes it into S tier because if we look at Dress Ada, it's kind of a similar to like her OG weapons, but instead of using a pistol, an SMG, and a rifle, she uses an SMG, a rifle, and a rocket launcher. And she also has her better knife. However, I mean, it would be kind of similar to Leon's, where you would basically just like you can't carry all of this at once, but it'd be a little bit better because you could snipe with the rifle. You could and you could also use the SMG in like self defense if you get boxed in. The rocket launcher would be like a one use, the RPG. So like I guess if you're sniping, you put down the rifle and use the rocket launcher in a desperate situation, like to take out as many as you can, and you switch back to a rifle. So it's not the greatest. It's still not the greatest. Like all of these loadouts have their flaws. If you're looking at specifically from like how well a regular person would use them in a realistic scenario, but it's not too bad. So yeah, I guess this is my rankings of like if you're trapped in like the actual mercenary scenario, whose weapons would you want and how well would you do it? And that's about it. Take care.